I promise everybody we're gonna get a intro video done soon, especially with the news coming that pretty much all of Sweep the League is joining the Project Spurs network. So they're gonna help us get everything squared away. That is right. It's Wednesday night. It's actually 7:30, not 7 o'clock. We normally start at 7. But we've got a special guest coming on later. ESPN SA's own James Pledger is going to be joining us later on tonight. We are expecting Coach Gio here pretty soon as well. Myself and Trey Collis, I'm Rudy Campos Jr. Welcome to the big show, Sweep the League, Wednesday night, special 7:30 edition. We're going to sweep everything. But again, the announcement obviously is James Pledger from ESPN SA will be joining us here very soon. We're going to get him in the Ring of Fire, which used to be for all you old Sweep the League, I guess, I don't know what you want to call them, listeners, I guess. We used to have what's called the gas chamber. So we changed it to the Ring of Fire because the gas chamber was pretty disgusting from what I heard. But we are a week from last week. We're a week ahead now. Trey, what's going on, man? You doing all right? How's it going?
Yeah, I kind of got the midweek blues, man. Like I don't know, I'm blah. But other than that, I'm good. I mean, today's just like blah. But we're game 4 of the NBA Finals tonight. We got Olympics starting next week. Football's just right around the corner. I'm excited. I'm pumped. I'm ready. I'm ready to talk. I can't wait to talk to James Pleasure. I got a little bone to pick with him about previous years ago with me and him. I don't think he remembers, but I got
So
something.
we got beef. We got beef. Hey, Michael DeLeon, Project Spurs, man, he's the boss. So he says the gas chamber is back. Something close to the gas chamber is back. We're calling it the Ring of Fire now. Definitely isn't an STD. It's just where we put whoever our guest is in the hot seat. So basically, but it is a fire ring. It does burn. It's not like our friends over at SBTN. I mean, that's totally different. This is stuff that you probably don't want to get asked on camera, but we're going to ask you anyway. So that's coming up here. Like I said, James Pledger will be joining us later on in the show to get into the Ring of Fire. Also, we're going to talk to him about his Houston Texans. Definitely got to bring up the massage parlors in Houston. See if he knows anything about that.
Yes.
You've got some beef to go with the Pledger as well. And I promised you Coach Gio would be on. Coach Gio is on. His sexy self is back on the
Sorry,
show.
guys, I got confused with the times.
No, definitely, man. This is a different night. Like I said, Pledger will be on with us here in a little while. Real quick before we get into sports and sweeping the league, you can follow me. It's at Sweep the League on Twitter. Gio is at Coach Gio. Trey is at Trey3025. And the celebrity of our panel, Austin Hartsfield, you can follow him at a Hartsfield MLB. I think he's working a lot at. Is he? No, he doesn't work for Chili's anymore. I don't know where he works anymore, but
He works for the Padres, right?
he has worked for the Padres. Yes, that's why he's a celebrity. He's worked at better jobs than we all have. So,
Amen.
Trey mentioned it earlier. Gio, NBA Finals going on tonight. We have Game 4. Suns up 2-1 on the finals. Got pretty much blown out the last one. Are we going to expect the same thing tonight, or do we see the Suns take a commanding and very, very awesomely, because I hope amazingly, going 3-1 lead in this series?
Well, I mean, the Suns just didn't look themselves. I thought the Bucks came out with more intensity. Giannis is going to be Giannis. Chris Middleton finally showed up in a series. And also, do you guys know the whole thing with Scott Foster? Like, Chris Paul's like 0-12 when he referees games.
I saw that.
That's kind of a crazy stat. I think the Bucks can come in and do the same thing they did, tie up this series, and I'm hoping for a 7-game series. But Devin Booker, Chris Paul really just didn't look themselves last game. I could see them stealing this game here, but I mean the Bucks, they're the more desperate team right now. They're at home. You have to win this game because if you go down 3-1, it's basically a death sentence. So I see the Bucks pulling out tonight.
So we're going 2-2 at the end of the night.
Yeah.
All right, Trey, are you feeling 2-2? Because I want a 7-game series. I said I want a 7-game series. I'm hoping it goes 7 games, but do you feel we're going to get a 2-2 tonight, or are we getting 3-1 with the Suns taking a commanding lead?
Oh, I think it's going to be even going back to Phoenix on Saturday night. I have it going 6. I hope it goes 7. I hope you're all right, but I just think with the Phoenix Suns, they've been closing out every series on the road, and I just think that they're going to win. Game 5 and then come back to Milwaukee and win Game 6. But the Suns, they don't have an answer for Giannis. They just don't. There's nothing you can do. Now, if the Bucks can somehow Middleton showed up a little bit last game, but they need him or Middleton or Holiday needs to show up big time for them to have a chance, because Giannis can score all the points that he wants to. But if Holiday and Middleton are not going to give you nothing, then it's just a foregone conclusion that Giannis is going to get 40, 15. It's going to be LeBron James against the Cleveland Cavaliers, where Giannis gets 40, 10, 15, or 20 and 6 every night, and he's still not going to give up, and he's still going to lose. But I think the Bucks come out with more intensity. I think Booker is kind of a wild card to me. Depends on how Booker is going to play. I just think Booker, even though he's scoring his 40 points, 30 points, he has those shots that kill the momentum for each team that they're playing against. He's shooting under 50%. He's not really shooting the ball very well if you really watch the games. He has those good big clutch moments, but he just doesn't have that big 60% field goal shooting night or the assist, or he's turning the ball over. So it's just, he's wildly inconsistent for me. Granted, he's only 24 years old, and this is his first playoff series. He's only going to get better, I do believe. That's why I'm not calling him a superstar just yet. But if Booker can come out and give you a high percentage field goal percentage tonight with great assist totals, I think Suns have a great chance. But I just think Milwaukee's going to be at home. I think that they find the intensity. I think having these 2 days off between games, I think is going to help them rest their legs a little bit. And I think with the home crowd being wild, I think they're going to tie it up and go 2-2.
Sweet. So I posed the question: is this the best finals that we've seen in recent history? Forget the Spurs, because the Spurs are the absolute greatest final series.
No, I mean, the Warriors and the Cavs when they went 7, the Cavs down 3-1. Now, if we're talking about mano a mano, that 2013 finals. I know the Spurs lost, but it was a pretty intense series. I mean, the Cavs came back from 3-1, but if we're talking about more even series, 2013 Spurs and Heat, I think the Heat coming on top, that series going 7, the way the Spurs lost. I'm talking about in recent memory though. I mean, what recent memory are you talking about? 90s and 80s combined?
No, I'm talking recently, in the past 6 years maybe.
I mean, the Warriors beat the Cavs they swept them 1 year. They beat them in 5, right? The Raptors won that series against the Warriors, but they were hobbled. I mean, what other NBA Finals the Lakers took care of Phoenix? 2013, it went down to the wire, 7 games. Besides the Warriors, in losing in 7 to the Cavs, I think Spurs and Heat 2013. I know Spurs lost. It sucks, but I think what other finals in recent memory was as good as that series was just back and forth.
Spurs fans, dude. That's horrible.
Listen, it has to be done. And I hope Spurs fans understand that this team isn't going to be very good the next few years. So
what if something happens in the offseason?
Well, as Rudy posted about John Collins, I just don't see him coming to San Antonio. But
Either.
Well, I'm not. I would like to see Collins do. I think it's going to happen.
It's no disrespect, but
not.
Okay. So, what free agents do you see truly? Because the Spurs are going to have some money. So,
yeah,
any big time free agents coming to San Antonio?
I think they offer the max to Collins, but I don't think he takes it. I just don't see him taking the max to the Spurs. If I see him leaving, it's probably going to be to Dallas. Was probably the number one choice for him. I don't see the Spurs being his number one choice.
I hope I'm not bursting any Spurs bubbles.
You've done pissed off Spurs Twitter. That's already happened, so I'm pretty sure we're going to get a lot of comments on that. But
I just don't see John Collins. It's just if they can,
there's going to be a trade. Let's be honest. There's probably going to be a trade.
Well, there's been some rumors floating around there on Spurs Twitter. I think I saw something about White and Murray could be a package. For the Spurs, if you want to be relevant, as we know, superstars. This is what this league is about. And if they don't, they're going to be in the middle of the pack as they've been the past few years. And
is Devin Booker a superstar?
No.
Because I mean, you just said superstar is the way to go, but look at Phoenix. I mean, is Devin Booker a superstar? We can't really call Chris Paul a superstar.
To me, I think superstar is a very elite. We're talking about Kevin Durant, right? We're talking about Joe Embiid.
Phoenix is there without it.
I just don't think, as good as Devin is, and he's been spectacular in certain points, I just don't know. For me, other people may see him as a superstar, but for me, not quite there. But if he wins a championship and we see how things go next season, I mean, he's definitely on his way. If some people, think he hasn't just yet. But Devin Booker, he's close. I mean, some nights he's there, some nights he's not. But Chris Paul, I think we all know, is the unquestioned leader of this team. Is Chris Paul a superstar? I don't think at this point in his career we could say he's a superstar. But is he a very, very good star? Yes. And that complementary of players.
There's disparity between superstar and a guy who fits your team. In other words, that makes your team better. I think Chris Paul is a guy that makes your team better. Trey's looking at us like we're damn crazy on this. He probably thinks Chris Paul is a superstar, right?
No, I never thought Chris Paul was a superstar.
We don't know Trey that well.
I think at certain points, Chris. The problem with Chris is he's a small guard, right? So the impact that he can have on a game is only to a certain extent. Unlike other guys like a Kobe Bryant, a Dirk Nowitzki, some of those guys who have a height advantage, I think Chris just can't affect as much as he can. But man, he can assist, he can play defense, and he can get under you and being dirty and also crossing the line at certain points. Plus, Chris Paul doesn't seem to get along with nobody these days. But
who cares? You're winning titles. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, he needs to win a title this year. But Chris Paul, to me, is never. I mean, when you think superstar, you think superstar like LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant. You think there's only a handful of guys in the league that are superstars. Now, can Devin Booker get there? Hell yeah, he can get there very easily. But he's got to be more consistent with his shooting and his defensive play. He turns the ball over way too much as well. When he tries to make plays way too much. He doesn't make the right read a lot of times. Granted, he's only 24 years old, and Chris Paul's there right there to help him. If Chris Paul's going to stay there, sign a max contract for $100 million with the Suns next year, well, let's wait and see about that. But I think Devin Booker, if he wins a championship and he grows, I think he has him and Jason Tatum. And you put Trey Young in there, and I think that's your next core of superstars after the Durants, LeBrons, and all of them leave. But right now, I just don't see superstar. He's a great star, but he doesn't get the super max contract.
Okay, I can see that as Trey is frozen in time. I can see that for sure. I mean, I guess before we go on real quick, I want to say, if Phoenix wins the title and Book is the MVP of the finals, does that propel him to superstar status?
I want to see it one more year. I want to see.
So it's got to be more than 1 year.
I think that next step, because there's a lot of guys who've won championships, right? But are they a superstar level? I think we have to wait and see. But I think he's on that target. I think he could potentially win an MVP. It's going to be tough, though, because you have a lot of great young players in this league. They're kind of chomping at the bit. But I think he's on his way. I would like to see one more year of kind of taking that next step to really becoming a guy that averages 30 points a game and really just takes that huge leap. But listen, he's on his way. He's a great player. And what the Suns got going right now, I mean, a team to last year, Rudy in the bubble, they really, came to light. Just wasn't enough. But talk about a run. And Monty Williams, good job with him. He's been fantastic with that team. I wonder
if Carolina Teague paid off the Suns and said, y'all better win the title to make me look good.
Did she make that bet like on draft?
No, she
could have made some decent
She could have made a ton of money because myself and Joe Garcia and Ben Bornstein, we all laughed when she said the Suns were going to be this badass team this year. And look at them now. We would have lost a lot of money on that. Speaking of losing a lot of money, we got to go to the SHERMA-NATOR because the biggest news of the day obviously came from the NFL with one NFL cornerback, Richard Sherman, and he gets arrested. Basically, what is he charged? He's facing charges of burglary, domestic violence after attempting to gain entry into his wife's parents' home. Now, I thought I saw somewhere on Twitter where his wife came out and said everything was fine. There's no issues. Why in the hell are you still in jail though? You're denied bond.
Because,
Go ahead.
well, what I've been reading the story all day because personally I don't like Richard Sherman. I think he's a classless piece of crap, and I never really liked him. I say what you want to about Skip Bayless and everything like that, but when you say calls, I'm better at life than you. What does that even mean? I don't understand that, but whatever. He's just a worthless piece of trash talker. I just never liked him. But I've been following the story. Basically, what it is the domestic part. His wife came out and said no one was hurt, but he was banging. The cops showed up, and he was aggressive towards the cops. I guess that's where the domestic comes in or whatever. But the wife called 911. I don't know if y'all heard that audio clip. With Sherman's wife calling 911. No, that operator needs to be fired. She's a crud too. Go after the show, go listen to it. But basically, the wife, no one's heard, nothing like that. But so basically what happened. He got intoxicated. He ran into he hit something, or he hit a city vehicle, and then he fled from the cops, ran to his wife's parents' house, banged on the door, cussing and screaming. Apparently he had 2 bottles of vodka and Hennessy. He also said he was going to hang himself and kill himself. And then that's when the cops showed up and he started being aggressive toward the cops. And then the cops took him down, took him to the hospital. And then that's when he got booked in the facility. But with the domestic thing, and I don't know, in Seattle, with the domestic case, the judge has to see before they can put bond out. That's why he's not released on bond yet. He hasn't seen a judge yet because they want to make sure everything's all right on the up and up, and he's not a danger to himself and to society. So that's why he hasn't reached out yet. That's that's the story on that.
Gotcha. Before we get a Gio's take on this, a reminder: ESPN SA's own James Pledgeman, Iron Man himself, according to Jeff Garcia. He's going to be joining us later on Sweep the League. We're going to put him in the ring of fire. We've got a bunch of questions for Pledge. For those of y'all that know about the old gas chamber, the ring of fire is similar, same thing. It's something you don't want to be a part of because the questions can be pretty damn ridiculous. But he will be joining us later on here on Sweep the League. Gio, give me your take on the Richard Sherman thing, because to me it's crazy. Wife said everything's fine. You know, obviously what Trey's saying about the 911 call, it's just a weird situation all the way around.
Yeah, but it's strange. I mean, Richard Sherman, the guy that we've known for a long time in the NFL, very good player, especially his days in Seattle. Very odd and very just strange. I mean, a guy that we really haven't seen this side of Richard Sherman. And as you guys know, when people are intoxicated, they say things that at times are very true, right? They're speaking from the heart. They're just not really up there. So the fact that Rich said he wanted to kill himself, and that's very, very disturbing. And as more details come out, we'll kind of more understand the situation. But I mean, I'm assuming he was in Seattle meeting with the Seahawks. I don't know if he has a home in Seattle, but I'm assuming he may want to visit the Seahawks. I don't know. I really don't have much on that. But
do you think Michael Crabtree played any part in this?
Well, we know that his time with Michael Crabtree, as well as Aqib Talib, is another guy who does not very care much. He yanked the chain. But really, it's just very sad and just something that's just odd from a guy that, went to Stanford and really you just didn't really see this side of him. But time will tell. We'll get more information. I'll comment on that, but just very odd.
So does he get it? Okay. I guess going into this, he's a free agent. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
He is a free agent.
Okay. So does he get signed after this?
Not right away. He just cost himself.
I don't think
a team will sign him.
I think, as Trey said, I think a team will sign him. I just don't think right now. I think we need to get more details. But, I mean, he was with San Francisco last year, I believe. He got hurt. Mm-hmm. So he's kind of dealing through injuries. And now on top of this, it kind of is not a good sign for him. So I guess we'll wait and see. But I expected him to be signed by now. But it's one of those cases where a veteran just trying to get a little bit extra money, trying to hop on a good team. So, man, this is very bizarre.
I've never heard you so like words tough coming out of your mouth Like you're actually in shock over this, are you?
Yeah, because you just like there's certain guys, right? If this was Johnny Manziel, Rudy, we would have been like, all right, this is Johnny Manziel.
Johnny Manziel, yeah.
Right, this is Johnny
He'd be doing
Manziel.
the dollar sign of the picture.
Or even if Baker Mayfield did something like this, you're like, all right, Baker has a little bit of screw loose. But Richard Sherman, from my knowledge, I've never heard of anything like this happening in his life before. So this is really odd.
Yeah, well, besides drying his mouth and thinking he's better or whatever, but you're right. He's a. I think he had a 4.0 GPA at Stanford. I think he's a vice president of the Player Association. He does a lot of things. He's a very intelligent guy, but I wish he'd just shut his mouth. But I think with the there is a comment that he did play a whole season, like with on and off concussions or something like that, and he said it was worth it to get that Super Bowl ring. So I'm starting to wonder, is it starting to come a little bit of CTE issues as well?
Potentially, yeah.
And the thing that's going to save Sherman is that no one was hurt in this domestic violence, right? Like he didn't hit a woman, he didn't hit his child, he didn't hit. So that part, if it's just drunken driving and against the cops, a team's going to sign him. He's going to get suspended, of course, but it won't be as severe a punishment as it would have been if someone would have got injured in this situation. That's lucky for Richard Sherman.
But it goes back to, okay, so the whole signing thing. I mean, say there was no domestic violence, say none of this shit ever happened today. Is he even worth signing? I mean, Richard Sherman is not the Richard Sherman from the Legion of Boom. So
no, but he can contribute. He can contribute to a Super Bowl winning team like the Rams or the Seahawks, or just to help with these young stars, like be a coach out there. I don't
think the Rams are there. I don't think the Seahawks.
I'm not saying them personally. I'm just saying, like, to a contending team, like those two teams, he could help those young, like they can help them, like put them in the nickel slot, help them whenever the passing situation stuff. It's not going to play every single play, but I think he will help a contending team.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously towards the end of his career. He's a guy that's going to come in, probably play some nickel, as Trey said, or even some safety. I think some injuries, right, with training camp, Rudy. I think we'll see some of these free agents who are right now kind of in limbo, not signed anywhere. Some of those guys will get signed throughout free agency as kind of injuries unfold, as they always do. So, I mean, when I take a flyer on them, sure. I mean, if I'm less needed
for the
Rams,
right money, though,
for the right money, I mean, the Rams have a very good secondary. It's pretty loaded all around. So, I mean, could you add him there for knowledge and just experience for a team that's on the rise? Sure, but I mean, he's not that guy anymore, pal. You know?
No, he's not. So, but never mind.
No, go ahead. You know.
Well, I was just gonna say that he also doesn't have an agent, right? This is where it's gonna hurt him not having an agent, where he represents himself.
Oh, yeah, they can't. No one was there to protect him through this.
Exactly. So I think that's going to hurt him a little bit along the way too. But I think I see Sherman. I don't think he's going to be signed before the regular season. I think it's going to be one of those cases. It's going to be like a week 2, week 3, week 4, bye week, or whatever. See where at the midway point, and then you sign up free agency right there's to a contending team or whatever the case may be. Whoever needs secondary help.
I mean, listen, he played on that 49ers team. They got to the Super Bowl. It was a big time contributor there. And did he give up a big pass play to Sammy Watkins? Yeah, sure, but overall, he's played well. He's been dealing with injuries, so that's kind of a negative aspect of that.
I see it, and the only team that comes to mind that I think would go after Cowboys. Sherman is, what was that?
The Dallas Cowboys.
No, and that's the popular choice. Everywhere on Twitter and everywhere was like Dallas.
Well, it's because they signed criminals.
Well, no.
Come on, Trey.
We know that. We know Jerry likes to sign criminals. I mean, we're talking about a guy who, partied with hookers for a while and did all the drugs and everything. Exactly. So he's got a wild side, but there is a coach out there and a team that does sign, can't really say has-beens, but that signs veterans who are on their last leg, that being one Andy Reid in Kansas City. This is a flyer for Richard Sherman to possibly go to a contender, a Super Bowl contender, and a team that he doesn't have to contribute a lot to. And when you talk about knowledge, I mean, Andy Reid takes chances on, he took a shot on Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell is one of the craziest teammates out there. So to say that he wouldn't be able to take a chance on Richard Sherman, I kind of see it happening. I see him making the call after all this. Is that something that I'm crazy for thinking?
I mean, I can see Andy. I mean, Bill Belichick, maybe. I mean, he's taken some guys in
Yeah,
the
but
past.
Bill's not quite there
No.
yet with the Patriots, though.
Well, Bill also deletes players before they're like a year early too, so he won't be. He
I
doesn't
mean,
really sign
listen,
those veterans.
if Josh Gordon's getting like 100 retries, I mean, I think with Sherman can get a try. And no disrespect to Josh Gordon, but I'm just saying, like,
Oh, total disrespect to Josh Gordon.
No,
I mean,
Josh
yeah,
Gordon's been
well-
through a lot of things going on, and I think Sherman can get at least a few more tries.
how are you? Okay, so you're Josh Gordon, and you're going back into the NFL. You're going to be reinstated for what, the 10th time in the NFL?
yes.
What in the hell? If you want to play football, lay off the fucking weed. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Well, really, we've also found out throughout the years it's more than just weed.
Well, we know it's more than weed, but primarily
It's some hard.
weed.
Yeah, no. So it's definitely weed. I mean, he started taking drugs at a very young age, and when he got to Baylor, he just nothing really happened, right? So he kept getting free passes. But I'm gonna tell you what, that 1 year, Rudy, where he missed, I don't know how many games he missed, but he had like over close to 16 or 1,500 yards receiving.
Yeah.
I mean, he torched the Patriots. I mean, that guy,
Yeah.
that season was phenomenal. I mean, if he would have kept it up, Hall of Fame arc for sure for Josh Gordon.
You really think you would have been a Hall of Famer? You got to be.
Yes. No.
Josh Gordon.
Go look at no. Obviously now he's not.
yes.
But go look at that season, Rudy. Go look at what he did. I believe in 2013, Josh Gordon was the truth. I mean, he missed a ton of games, and he had a fantastic season with the Browns. Josh Gordon was on his way. I know it sounds far-fetched. We can't think about it now because of the drugs and the off-the-field things. But Josh Gordon, that one season, if he would continue that success, I'm just saying, Rudy.
I'm looking it up. 2013, he had 87 receptions, 1,646 yards receiving. He had
with the
9
Browns with no
touchdowns.
quarterback.
And who's the quarterback, Rudy?
Okay, so you're right. Let's see who that quarterback was. I can't remember who it was, but who was the quarterback for the Browns that season? I mean, 1,600 yards is definitely one not. I mean, was it Josh Johnson? No, that's free agency. I mean, I can see that, but you can't tell me that he would have been a Hall of Famer just based off of that 1 year if he kept it going.
Well, I think what Gio's saying is he had the potential to be an all-star, like a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, potential to be a Hall of Famer. I mean, Rudy, come on, 1,600 yards. He missed several games that year. I think that was the North Turner could have been offensive coordinator. I don't know.
Yeah,
who the
North
head
Turner was
coach-
the offensive coordinator.
So their quarterback situation, hold up. So they had
Jason Campbell and Brandon Wheaton were the quarterbacks.
There you go.
So
There you go.
that's all you got to know, Rudy. Hey, that's
All right.
he was special.
Well, you got to
When he
remember
played
coming out of when he came out of the draft and with Baylor, man, this guy was a top number one receiver. That's why they keep giving him a lead. All these teams wanted him too. He was a stud.
Now
I mean, he had everything at the speed. Yeah.
I mean, he looks like he has a piano on his back now. But I mean, it's that 1 year was just special.
All right, I'll give you this. I will say it's potential that he could have been a Hall of Famer possibly. Last night was the MLB All-Star Game. American League ended up defeating the National League 5-2. Vlad Guerrero winning the MVP. I can't really argue with that. I mean, he's just like his pops, Vlad Guerrero Sr. I mean, great baseball player. Pretty good game after all. The home run derby. Now that's the question. We're seeing Shohei Ohtani. I mean, blasting stuff out of the park. Pete Alonso goes back-to-back wins. Is it good or bad, this home run derby? I for some reason heard that it's not a good fit in the MLB All-Star Game. I don't know why, and I'm trying to figure out why. So that's why I pose the question, good or bad to have the derby? I think the derby's better than the damn slam dunk contest. Let's be real. I mean, there's a lot of things that it's better than that.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Go ahead, Trey.
Oh, I was just gonna say, the 3-point competition and home run derby are the two all-star events that I love looking forward to. Chicks love the long ball. Everyone loves the long, especially in my first off, the home run derby was phenomenal, especially given one less extra minute, the time frame, the way they've been reconstructing it every single year. It's been better and better each year. I mean, that if you watched Ohtani and Soto, that battle going back and forth, and they had to go to a swing off, and Soto goes 3 for 3, hitting not just home runs, but to the Rocky Mountains, basically. And Ohtani was just freaking tired out of his mind. And then you had Olsen, and then you had that good feel-good story of Trey. I forgot his last name for the A's, so coming back from cancer this year. So I think the home run derby is great. I think everyone looks forward to the home run derby better than they do the All-Star game. I think you see all the kids, you see all the family, you see all the players who are not in participation, still there videotaping it, having a blast. I just think it's more fun. I think it's more fun than the slam dunk. When you go right on the head on that one, even with the skills competition in the NBA, that's boring as hell to watch too.
Bullshit. The skills
skills competition is
come on.
boring, dude. Come on. These are professional athletes. I hope they can dribble through these freaking little things and hit a three and slam dunk it. Give me it and make a bounce pass. It's not. Now, I think the big men are kind of fun to watch, but I still don't think it's just as. I think the home run derby and 3-point competition is by far the best. I put 3-point then home run derby, but even my wife, who doesn't like baseball, sat on our couch and watched the home run derby. It's like, dang, this is exciting to watch. I think it's here to stay. I think they're doing a phenomenal job. Manfred has not done a good job with a lot of things in the MLB, moving the All-Star game, but that's another thing for another day. I can argue that. I think that was wrong what they did. But at the other hand, Colorado got some good business. But, I mean, the home run derby needs to stay. Everyone loves a home run derby. I don't know who doesn't. They just need to get out of the timeline because it's fun to watch.
Chicks dig the long ball. Gio, do you love the long ball? Are you digging the long ball?
I'm digging it. You know, it felt like a good time just watching people at that event and watching the camaraderie. It just seemed like the perfect match. And the slam dunk contest is just, listen, how many dunks?
Was it a perfect match like Tinder?
Well, you know, those don't always come along, those perfect matches. But the chicks take the long ball, and they also dig that. But anyway, I just think it's just a better. Like, you have to keep this. Like, you cannot get rid of the home run derby. It just screams baseball, and it looked fun. People have a great time. It felt better than All-Star Weekend. I don't know. It just like I got that vibe that the baseball kind of, it's not really a weekend per se, but it just felt like a better time.
I think it's because you had all the fans finally 100% capacity, where the NBA didn't have that feeling, right? We didn't have the All-Stars in front. And what the NBA did this year was horrific. They had the game, and then before the game, they had a 3-point shooting contest. At halftime, they had a slam dunk. I didn't like that at all. You need to have the All-Star Saturday night and then the NBA All-Star game. That's where the NBA kind of messed up this year, because they didn't have that good. Because everyone goes home on Saturday night and watches the NBA All-Star Saturday night. Everyone enjoys that, but mix it in with the game they did this year on the Sunday, which is terrific, and it was boring to watch, except for the 3-point shooting contest. But I think that's where the fun fact came in, because you finally get 100% capacity. You gain the crowds back. You gain maskless. Everyone's getting vaccinated. It just feels like everyone's finally getting back to normal, and I think that's we saw that Monday night with. It's just cool watching like the Dominican guys, even though they're against the different teams, rooting for the Dominican teammates, right? It's just fun to watch with kids and everything. You're right, Gio. I think it was the most fun I've seen in a long time in sports.
Man, you guys are just making love to this MLB All-Star thing. I like it.
It's definitely better than the NFL.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
The NFL All-Star thing, whatever they got, whatever that is, it's not even close.
The Pro Bowl is the
what was it, Madden this year?
Something like that. The Pro Bowl is just a complete waste of time. It's dumb to have the Pro Bowl. The NBA All-Star game is getting there. It's really getting there. I really don't like to watch the NBA All-Star game at all. The only reason why I watch the NBA All-Star game is because of the shoes. I like to see who's got the new shoes coming out and all that. That's it.
Well, let me ask you this about the NBA. Let me ask you this real quick about the NBA All-Star game. Someone on, I forgot one of the networks, said this. Why don't they just have the NBA All-Stars or the American versus the world? Because the world's catching up to us. Would that be more entertaining?
We did see the world just beat the shit out of the Team USA, in Australia and
It's an exhibition game, man. Come on.
Oh, shut your mouth.
Yeah, but I
told y'all,
I
hey,
don't care. You don't lose
I
to Nigeria. Give me a break.
Oh, settle down, guys. Mike Brown owns Pop. That's all we need to know. I told y'all, and I promised you that one James Pledger from ESPN SA would be joining us tonight. So he's here. Pledge. I was able to donate blood and plasma to pay for your appearance fee this time. So we're moving on up.
Paying
now.
up, Rudy?
Yeah, we're moving on up. I don't have to sell the aluminum
I
cans
appreciate it.
anymore.
I also appreciate you working with me. I had to work a little later than I expected.
No, man. We're like I said, we're easy going here. This makes another celebrity on our show here. So definitely pleasure, man. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. How you been, man?
I'm always good, Rudy. How y'all doing?
We're good. We're good. We're having fun. We are having a lot of fun. And I don't want to take up a whole lot of time because we've got about 24 minutes here, 23 minutes left in the show here. We got to get into this real quick, man. You are a Texan fan. So,
whoa.
This is one of the rare times we actually mention the Houston Texans on Sweep the League. So I got to just get right into it, man. Give me a quick synopsis. What in the hell is going to happen with Deshaun? I want to know your take here. The FCC does not watch this show. I guarantee it. So you can completely go off on it for Deshaun.
Man, what's happening with Deshaun? And I'm guessing you want to know what he eventually ends up doing, right? Like where he ends up playing.
Yeah, for sure.
I've narrowed it down to the possibility of 3 teams, right? And they're the teams with the capital that could do it once all things are, said and done. His legal matters have gone away. He served his suspension. This is likely heading into next year's draft. There are 3 teams with the available picks and ability to make a move along with needing a quarterback. Those teams, obviously, being the Miami Dolphins, if Tua Tagovailoa does not become what everybody expected him to be after his freshman year at Alabama. Mm-hmm. They've still got all those picks. They moved back again this year, garnered more picks with the trades that they made moving out of the 3rd spot, which was the Houston Texans spot, by the way. So they've got all the capital. They've got 2 first-round picks this year. They got multiple seconds. They've got the ability to make a play. The other teams I would watch are both in the Dallas Cowboys division.
Okay.
The Philadelphia Eagles, if the Jalen Hurts experiments fails after this year, you have to watch extremely closely because they possibly have 3 first-round picks in next year's draft, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. They made a trade with the Dolphins and traded. They traded back from 12 initially, and then they traded back again. Plus, they have the Carson Wentz trade, where if he plays 70% of the snaps in Indianapolis, they get another first rounder. So they're looking at the potential of having 3 first-round picks next year, multiple seconds. They've got the draft ammunition it would take to land a Deshaun Watson. The 3rd team, also in the NFC East, the New York Giants. They added Kenny Galladay this year at receiver. They added Kadarius Toney after trading back from 12 in the draft to let the Chicago Bears come take Justin Fields. So now they have another first next year. They've added the weapons on offense. Saquon Barkley comes back healthy this year. If Daniel Jones does not live up to being the 6th overall pick from a couple of years ago, then they're going to try and pull the plug and look in another direction. And I think Deshaun Watson could be that direction because those are the 2 teams that make the most sense for the Texans because they are not in the AFC. They wouldn't have to face them, but once every 4 years. They are teams with the Eagles and Giants that have the ammunition to make the trade. And with Houston and Miami, there you got to wonder, is there still hard feelings over what they paid for Laramie Tunsil and if they're willing to go back down that road and then trade Deshaun Watson within the conference and watch him play extremely well with a team that has been built very well, mainly because of the Houston Texans draft capital that they gave them for Laramie Tunsil.
Nice. See, I told you guys he'd have the answer on Deshaun. Me personally, I was expecting James to say that Deshaun was going to play for the Mean Machine of one prison over in Houston or wherever with Adam Sandler and all those guys. That would have been my first pick, was the Mean Machine.
Mean
But
Machine would be that's one of those that's in my next group of teams he could play for.
Nice. Hey, so we got a couple of things here that we want to get into, but
Yeah.
I want to really just start off here. And you were the first person to come on since we've changed from the gas chamber to the Ring of Fire here.
All right. I'm on.
Everybody loved the gas chamber back in the day. Basically, the gas chamber was questions you don't want to be asked because they're so tough to answer, but you got to answer them.
Mm-hmm.
It made these all kinds of faces, like if somebody farted in the jar and put it in your face. It did everything like that. Like, it just made it very uncomfortable. Trey is new to the group, so he hasn't really been down this road. Gio and I were down this road, and we've made a lot of people not be our friends anymore. So hopefully after this, you still are our friends.
We're going to
So
keep it light.
I mean,
We're
I'm
gonna keep it light.
down. You can gas me. You can throw me in the Ring of Fire. Whatever's going.
All right. So real quick, I want to give you a heads up. Being you're the first, our next guest next week is your buddy, my buddy, everybody's buddy. Jeff Garcia's on next week.
Yeah.
And he's going to go into the ring. So I've got tons of questions here for the Ring of Fire. A couple of these guys, we all have questions here. I'm going to pose this question first, knowing that Jeff is going to come on next week. Who wins in a fight between you and Jeff Garcia?
Oh,
I need Vegas. Vegas needs to know.
I'm minus 300 in that fight, easy.
Okay, so what are we putting Jeff at? Because
Jeff a black belt?
I don't know. Jeff and James, they lift more weights than anybody I've ever seen, and they are always working out. So they put everything that I've done to shame. So I want to know who's going to win.
There's no doubt. I got the endurance, and as Jeff would like to tell you, I like to lather myself in coconut oil, so I'll be too slippery for him to even get hands on. So you know how it is.
There you go. All right, who's next on the Ring of Fire? Because we got to get another question here. We got to keep this rapid.
I got a question.
All right, here we go.
How does it feel to have your favorite baseball team be cheaters?
I don't know. Any single team in Major League Baseball. All their fan bases, they're fans of cheaters because every single team in Major League Baseball cheats.
But the Astros got caught, though.
Yeah, they got caught.
So you don't feel anything, any type of way
He's not remorse.
2017 champs.
And they don't take it back. You can't take it back. So, yeah, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. That's what we
The Yankees, who were crying the loudest probably, are still under an indictment and have been asked to – they've had a motion to unlock a file for the public to see that they still have yet to release that involves them majorly in some other cheating allegations. And by the way, if you're naive enough to believe that Carlos Beltran, who went from the Rangers to the Yankees, then came to Houston, said, guys, you're way behind on everything you're doing. This is what you need to do to be better. And then goes back to the Yankees after that. And the Yankees never incorporated anything on what he said, man, around the league, this is way better. All these other teams are doing it better than you. If you are naive enough to believe that the Yankees did not cheat when the focal point of their cheating scandal, Carlos Beltran, was twice in New York as a player and as an executive, then you are lying to yourself. And by the way, the sticky stuff,
I can hear
once the sticky stuff came out, Garrett Cole's numbers plummeted.
Man, I can hear the passion there, Rudy.
He just put you to shame. I think I'm going to have to put you on a 1-week hiatus for that.
It was just a question, guys.
No, I will gladly bear the cross of cheating, but I am not naive enough to believe that A, they weren't doing it, and B, every other team in Major League Baseball who their entire lives have been told to steal signs from second or, back in the 1960s, the Giants owner had a phone to the bullpen to signal the batters because he had a telescope in his suite and he would steal the signs from his suite, call down to the bullpen, and if the batters weren't looking for the signs, they would get in trouble. And this was all the way back in the 1960s. If you don't think they've evolved it, the Red Sox had eye watches sending them signals in the game. The Astros were just beating on a trash can. You have to react to a packed stadium full of stands in which you're hearing a thumping on a trash can as the ball's coming at you, and in less than 0.9 seconds have to decipher what you heard versus what's coming at you and still make contact and think that it makes that big of a difference, then you're kidding yourself as well.
This is why we have guests like Pledger on here,
I
because
spoke to multiple players that were in the minors, and they told me about the Astros cheating scandal in terms of the audacity of, yeah, it would have been way easier for the Red Sox who had iWatches because you can set it on vibrate and it gives you a tone. Instead, you're listening for an audible cue that you have to process mentally when you're looking at a 96-mile-an-hour fastball that you have to process at the same time what part of the zone it's at, where it's coming in, and still get all that. He said it's one of the hardest things to be able to have any effect off of that. And if you look at it, the central figure of the cheating scandal, who actually wasn't as prominent as reports lead you to believe, which is Jose Altuve, his numbers on the road were 8 times better than they were at home that year. He was an AL MVP. He was performing at an all-pro Hall of Fame type level that season, and his numbers on the road were twice as ridiculous as they were at home, both in on-base percentage, slugging percentage, hits, home runs, everything was better on the road than at his home splits.
see, all you assholes that think they cheated, y'all can go to hell. Y'all can go to
No,
hell.
they didn't. It's just everyone else is too, so just, like, don't throw the stone in a glass house.
Oh yeah, no, we get that. Hey, I'm gonna try to take the monkey off the Astros back here, and I want to ask you before Trey asks you something here. Will Deshaun Watson get more touchdown passes or massages this season?
Whew, that's a really good one right there, because I don't expect him to play for the Houston Texans. I don't expect him to be traded before the offseason because he won't get full value until he's cleared all his legal drama, and that doesn't look like it's ending anytime soon. So the best time for that's going to be in the offseason before the draft. So I don't think he throws any touchdown passes this season. He probably gets put on the commissioner's exempt list at some point, whether it's in training camp or by the start of the season. And then massages, man, if he's bold enough to go back into people's DMs and try and get massages during this period, that's a bold move, Cotton. That's a real bold move. We'll have to see how that plays out.
Well, it's like any story, any life story. I'm sure he will rise to the occasion when it comes to it. So we can guarantee that. Trey, do you have a question for Pledge here?
Well, yeah.
Again, he's new. Trey's new. He's scared.
Yeah, I'm actually a nice Christian guy. I'm going easy on you today, Pledge, even though you didn't take it easy on me. Unrock the mic. You didn't even get me to the next round, but that's cool.
Beef. He's got the beef. I forgot. Trey's got beef with Pledge.
Yeah, Pledge almost basically ruined my broadcasting career because they did not take me to the second round. But it's cool. I got my mojo back. So I'm ready to go.
See, the problem's not with me not getting you to the second round. Your problem is with the voters not advancing you, because we only do so much. The voters take you halfway, and then we pick a champion.
Well,
and plus, it's not just me. I am just one vote of like the 10 votes that go in the process.
But you're a major vote, though. You're James Pleasure. I am Pleasure. Well, I'll take it back to you. Being a Houston fan, we had the NBA draft coming up here in a couple weeks, and I know your Houston Rockets are a disgrace to the whole NBA and everything like that right now, basically giving away James Harden for nothing. Who do you think they're going to get in the draft this year?
Well, the reports are right now, if they say it too, I'm intrigued by both Evan Mobley and Jalen Green. Jalen Green is just going to be so athletically good. The possibility of a Christian Wood, Evan Mobley front court when you have bigs that can space the floor and switch multiple positions, like that's really intriguing as well. But the latest reports are that they're talking with Detroit to get up to number 1 to get Cade Cunningham. So if they get Cade Cunningham, that would be insanely dope. I would be incredibly happy. But no, you say that they were a disgrace and you should feel bad. I don't. They've got a whole bunch of first-round picks now. They did it right by once they traded James Harden, they were like, all right, we're going to suck. We're going to tear this thing down to the studs, and we're going to go get the next James Harden at the top of the draft. That's something the Spurs should have done.
Exactly. I agree with you.
They should tear it down.
I agree with you.
Do a true – listen, if you're going to suck,
do it
be
right.
the suckiest team.
If you're going to suck, do it right and suck out loud. But they also made a trade this offseason for Kevin Porter, or during the season for Kevin Porter Jr., who played phenomenally. If you didn't watch a lot of Rockets basketball, and if you didn't, I don't blame you. But Kevin Porter Jr. looked to be a steal in the trade that they did with Cleveland. So having a backcourt of whether it's Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. or Cade Cunningham and Kevin Porter Jr., or even if you go the Evan Mobley route, if you say it too, having a front court of Christian Wood and Evan Mobley with Kevin Porter Jr. as your lead guard, that's a very dynamic team that looks like it's going to crawl itself out of the gutters a lot sooner than you would think.
See? And, we're going to stick on the sucking word right here. We're going to use that word to transition to this next one here. Marvel is a big thing in your life. Marvel movies. DC is better than Marvel. I don't care what anybody says. I'm a DC fan.
You think that?
It's just me. I'm a DC fan. Obviously, it's
I get
greatness.
it. I
Marvel,
like the comics. The comics are great.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're just gonna pretend that the movies are even better than Marvel, which they're not. But we all know that. So you being a Marvel guy, we've got a Marvel question here. I cannot throw the F word around because we don't use the F word because Trey will just send us to hell if we throw the F word around. So we're gonna use a different word here. You have to marry, sleep with, or kill. You have to have this marry, sleep with, kill. Iron Man, Captain America, or Thor. Which one are you gonna do what with?
All right.
Because you are considered Iron Man by Jeff Garcia.
I am.
So would you sleep with yourself?
Tony Stark is also my favorite character in all of Marvel comics. So
are you marrying Tony?
Probably. Yeah, I'm marrying Tony.
All right, so who are you sleeping with?
Are we going MCU or
Mjolnir? Are you taking Mjolnir up the Percy Highway?
Are we going MCU or comics?
We'll go MCU. MCU.
Oh God, because you got Chris Evans.
You got America's ass on one hand.
You got America's ass on one hand, but then have you freaking seen Thor? Like Chris Hemsworth is a deity.
Yeah, I have. So I guess who do you want to kill? And then we'll just assume you're gonna sleep with either America's ass or Thor's Mjolnir.
I'm gonna sleep with.
Wow. See, they get tougher.
They do. God, this sounds so unpatriotic. But I'm gonna sleep with Thor.
I don't think I can blame you for that.
The great thing about sleeping with Thor is Lady Thor is coming in Thor: Love and Thunder, so that is Natalie Portman.
That is a good thing. That is a great thing to happen. But too bad that it hasn't happened yet, and you are sleeping with the actual Thor. And I really hope you have a conductor for any lightning bolts that strike any part of your body during that time. So you're basically going to kill Captain America, which I guess is fine. It's been done. Crossbone's done it in the comics, so that is fine. I do have a fan question, James, and this is fan. So this didn't come from me, even though I was thinking it.
I like fan questions.
They say that all the weight training pictures that you post and the videos that you post, they want to know, is all of that because you're getting ready to start an OnlyFans account?
I heard you make good money with that.
I heard it's
great money.
I don't know, but
I've heard you can make really good money on that. But
I won't
no
subscribe, I
OnlyFans.
promise. But I mean,
There's
they want to
no
know if an
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans count is coming.
Well, I mean, OnlyFans is trying to move away from that. I heard. So
I don't
Well, too
know
late
if they
to the
get
game
one
anyway.
James Pledger.
I think they're trying to do like a. I think they're trying to go public. So I think they need to change some
Going
things on
Christian
it.
mingle with it.
Porn sells.
Well, I don't know about Christian, but maybe close to it. No, I did. They're trying to straighten that whole persona that they have, but
All right, so we need an answer, Pledge, because they really want to know: are you going to do an OnlyFans account with all these pictures coming out?
It sounds like I'm a little too late to the game anyway, with the changes that are about to having, with them wanting to release an IPO and become an official Wall Street tradable thing. So no OnlyFans account coming for me.
All right, so I will have to inform the fan that you will not be creating an OnlyFans account, and
there's always
surely-
Craigslist.
there is Craigslist,
Craigslist.
but that's not even a thing no more. That is, I don't even know if that's a thing anymore.
No,
but
I'm sure it is.
it is.
I'm
All right,
sure
well,
No,
that
it's
somewhere
not.
in the dark
It's not.
corners of the interwebs that there's still a Craigslist.
well, we're hoping that Rob and Jason aren't listening right now because I
Right.
have a feeling they may look and see if you are on OnlyFans after this, and I don't want to get you in trouble with that at all, man.
Wait,
I don't
does
want that at all.
anyone know of someone who actually has?
Yeah,
it's like how
I know one person. Yes.
I know a few
I know
people.
if-
And they
yeah.
I know
make,
3.
they make
I know 3.
6
Oh,
figures.
Trey knows him.
Yeah,
make 6
James is
figures.
right. 6 figures. The one that I know makes a good
Yes.
amount of money, and that's the reason behind the weight loss right here. Because I want to
Oh.
make 6 figures.
So
I-
Rudy's
Are
got
you doing-
OnlyFans coming.
Are you doing your feet, Rudy? Are you doing your feet?
No. I am losing the weight so I can join OnlyFans. That is the secret. That's the secret.
Does Gina know about this?
Gina does not know about that. She probably will after listening to the show. And when we're
She
off, I'm gonna have to go
won't
explain to
care
her.
once
what-
she sees the checks start clearing.
Exactly
right.
Exactly. The only problem is that she'll divorce me and she gets half. So I'm kind of screwed either way, I guess. But hey, you know what? Now the secret's out. I'm doing this for an OnlyFans. I'm gonna ask Jeff Garcia next week the same question.
You need
So
to.
we're
Is
gonna
that what
see if
he's training for?
I want to know what he's training for. I really
See-
want to know.
I'm trying to train so that I catch Kevin Feige's eye. And he's like, we need to cast this dude as Iron Lad.
Nice. If it was me and Feige saw me, he would definitely be like, you know what? We're gonna remake Star Wars, and we've got the perfect job of the Hutt. So we need to get this Campos guy on the phone. He can definitely play Java. So
We got a
Man.
new hut.
yeah, we got a new Hut, and it's not Pizza Hut, which was my favorite
Or-
pizza.
Maybe Jar Jar Binks for you, Rudy. I mean, maybe we can.
Oh, I don't know, man. That's kind
maybe
of
we can put you in that role there.
That's kind of bad. I don't know about that. Man, we're coming up to the end here. Pledge joined us. We gave him all these questions. He gave some fantastic answers. He bitch slapped Gio and Trey on their answers, but he didn't get me back on mine.
Hey,
He did
it was
not
just a
get me on
question.
mine. They're
It was
just
just a
questions.
question.
I know
I
that.
know. And
It was just a question.
an answer. It's fine.
So before I let James go, you can follow him on Twitter. It's at I am Pledger. This is we swept the league. We did a MLB talk, NFL talk, NBA talk. We swept everything with Pledger. We're sweeping it under the rug. Hopefully never to come back out again. He's not doing an OnlyFans, but before I let you go here, Pledge, I got one question.
Yeah.
Am I guaranteed a win if I do Rock the Mic coming up?
Oh, I can't guarantee any wins. I can't guarantee anything, but I can guarantee that if you win Rock the Mic, you will have access to some of the greatest coaching and live reps that you can possibly. You look at some of our former Rock the Mic champs, whether it's RJ Ochoa, our original Rock the Mic champ, who has gone on to do stuff for Blogging the Boys Radio, or our second winner, Carolina Teague, and everything that she's done with the Sports Time. You look at our third Rock the Mic champion, Thomas Mott, and he is out in Atlanta doing radio now. You look at our fourth Rock the Mic champ, Michael Jimenez, who has his own show on Sundays right now, which he's doing with our current Rock the Mic champ, Quinn Hudson, who won our pandemic Rock the Mic. So, I mean, you get reps, you get opportunities, you get the opportunity to plan shows, to get work behind the scenes, to even learn the inner workings of radio from more than just cracking a mic and talking. And it is some of the most invaluable experience you can ever get. And I guarantee you, working with the crew that we have here, with Jason and myself and Rob, with RJ at times, with Michael and Quinn, like, it is a family atmosphere, and all of us just want to see each other get better, to become better versions, and go out and go to bigger things.
Yeah, and that's, I know for a fact. And you mentioned Carolina. Gio had to go. He's got to go to work actually at 8:30. So
I get it.
You mentioned Carolina T. I've never heard of her. I don't even know.
You don't even know?
Who is
I gotta
she?
do my research on Carolina.
Yeah, it's really cool. She had this great co-host on the Sports Time.
So I've heard. Yeah, I've heard that I heard the Sports Time was actually doing okay, but I don't listen to it at all. I'm not a fan of sports radio, so I don't listen to it at all.
Before we go, do you got real quick minute? We talked about my Rockets in the offseason. Do you want to talk about the Spurs in the offseason?
Yeah, actually we can. If you want to go Spurs, we can do Spurs. I actually had a question here about the offseason. I want to see who you thought they would draft, but give me some Spurs notes here. I want the Spurs Twitter to hear what James Pledger has to say.
Spurs Twitter loves me, by the way, and I love them back. But in all honesty, even though I'm a Rockets fan, like, I love to see the Spurs do good. I loved writing that piece and doing the championship during the championship years, and kind of putting packages together that celebrated them and their accomplishments. Like, the Spurs being good is good for us. Like, that is a good thing, especially in San Antonio radio. So don't ever think that anything I say is because that I'm a Rockets fan or I'm a homer, that I don't want good things for the Spurs, because I absolutely do want good things for the Spurs. And I think there is a very good way to fix the Spurs this offseason. And it starts in the draft, and that starts with taking the best player available at 12, whoever that may be. If Moses Moody falls out of the top 10 because Jalen Johnson and Kai Jones are rising now and could potentially be top 10 picks, then if a Moody falls to you, or a James Bouknight, or whoever it is, great. That is fantastic. You take the best player available to you at 12. I don't care what its position is, because in the draft, it's not about your position or need. You address that in free agency. That's what free agency is for in the NBA. In the draft, you take the person that you think is going to be a superstar, because that's your way of getting it. It's not about need. If you need a center and there's not one available that you think is going to be a superstar, and the earliest he'll go is at 19 or something like that, you don't reach for that center, because the positional need is irrelevant. You can go address that need in free agency. You take the person that you think has superstar potential. And I think a James Bouknight out of UConn is a star on the rise. I think Moody out of Arkansas is a possible bucket-getting star that can play off the dribble or not. I think Florida's Trey Mann, although 12 may be a little high for him, I feel really good about Trey Mann. He is 6'5". He has a 7-foot wingspan. He can play on or off the ball. He shoots 40% from 3, and he can get in the lane and make buckets. Like, he's got a shot that looks good, so him refining it with Chip England would just be incredible. I think those are 3, and I know they're all guards, but here's the thing. Everybody talks about this plethora of guards that the Spurs have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why are we looking at guards? We have so many guards. We've drafted guards all these years. Can you name all the guards currently on the Spurs roster?
Now, are we talking still under contract?
We're talking about the ones that are still under contract.
So DeJounte, Derek White, Lonnie Walker, and that's it, under contract.
Trey Jones.
Well, Trey Jones. Sorry,
can't think of one.
Consider him a
That's your plethora of guards. You've got 4, and Trey Jones, while There may be some serviceable kind of backup point guard role for him at some point in his career, and I like him. I need somebody that's going to run that second unit more efficiently and be more of a contribution offensively. Like if I can insert a Bouknight or a Moody or a Trey Mann to play opposite Lonnie Walker to give some scoring punch to that second unit and give a lead guard, because that second unit does not have a lead guard right now. Lonnie's a shooting guard. He can bring the ball up, but do you want him bringing the ball up? Because that was Patty Mills' job. Patty Mills was the initiator of the offense. You don't have that on the second unit right now. So all this plethora of guards talk that everybody talks about, and even if they re-sign Patty Mills, like you still need somebody, because injuries happen. We saw it with Derek White this year. We saw it on and off with Lonnie throughout the year. You need some depth in your guards because you just don't have enough. That being said, once you take one of those players, unless Kai Jones or Jalen Johnson falls to you, then by all means jump all over one of them, because I think they're going to be superstars as well. In the second round, the second round's going to be – this draft is so deep with talent. And a guy catching a lot of height on the rise right now, Jericho Sims, you talk about a bouncy big, and he's a Texas guy, so there's that tie there, obviously. But if you haven't seen him play or didn't watch a lot of Texas basketball, he doesn't offer a whole lot offensively, but his shot is there. So working with Chip England, he could refine it. But you talk about, he's basically Montrezl Harrell, man. He is a high energy, high motor dude. He is bouncy. He can switch onto smaller guards if need be and hold his own. He, in his draft scouting combine yesterday, on a jumping alley-oop, he hit his face on the rim. Like his face.
Yeah.
Like he has bounce, and he's built thick. He reminds me of like Kevin Willis, the way he's kind of built. If you remember kind of Kevin Willis from the 90s, he was a thickly built dude. Jericho Sims has a thick body type that makes me think he could bang right away with some NBA bigs. Like he could come in and not get abused the way you see like Isaiah Jackson as a prospect who gets talked a lot about in Kentucky. And he's an intriguing prospect, but he's also extremely thin right now. So you worry about him getting bullied in his first year or two in the league until he puts on weight, right?
Yeah. Another second rounder that, and this is the one that I've been looking at closely, is Luka Garza. I mean, I
like Luka. He lost some weight. He showed up for the NFL draft combine looking very, very, very good shape.
Yeah. I don't know if he played or if he's going to get himself into the first.
I don't. No.
He won't be first. No.
The problem with him is his foot speed. He's going to lack the athleticism to be able to keep up defensively. And also with that lack of athleticism, you worry about him being able to get his shot offensively. Those are the concerns when you're talking about a Luka Garza.
Yeah, so I mean, I would say that he's my favorite second round guy right there for the Spurs. If he drops to them, I mean, I still think he's kind of high in the second round.
I'm like a hyper athletic type of guy in the second round.
Well, and that Sims would be perfect at that pick. So
because where the Spurs got eviscerated defensively, when Jakob Poeltl was in the game, they would pull him out, switch him onto a guard on the pick and roll, and they would just eviscerate him every time. He is a fantastic low block defender, no doubt. He is great in the paint, but when you try and get him out on the perimeter, it is a loss every single time. And you need a big that can switch out on the perimeter with not as much difficulty, at least keeping up or keeping in front of the guard he's going to be switched onto on those pick and rolls.
Yeah, perfect, man. Analyst from Mr. Pleasure himself. You're getting all the Spurs info.
And giving this is my favorite part of the Spurs offseason plan, because free agency is what it's really all about, right?
Oh, yeah.
You've got $47 million in cap space, possibly more if you renounce the rights to Rudy Gay, DeMar DeRozan, and Patty Mills, right? you can have as much as I want to say $54 million in cap space when it's all said and done. Rudy Gay's probably not coming back. He's going to go try and go play for a contender somewhere. DeMar DeRozan does not look like he's coming back.
I don't think so.
He is trying to get to LA. Maybe the Lakers want him. I'm not about a sign and trade. Not looking forward to that at all.
Not with the
Lakers don't have much of anything I want. So by sign and trading him, you're giving the Lakers exactly what they want, and you're taking back, a late first-round pick and some contracts to match, which would be Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, serviceable.
True.
But here's the thing. None of these people are as good as what you could spend that money on in free agency. And in free agency, you've got a lot of shooters that you could go get. John Collins is a name that people are frothing over the mouth for. And I have also been highly, highly positive about John Collins and the potential for the Spurs to go get him on the Saturday morning hangover. I am starting to shift my philosophy just a little bit because this week the report came out that there were 4 teams that are going to express interest in John Collins already. The San Antonio Spurs being one of them, the Sacramento Kings being another, the Dallas Mavericks being one, and the Miami Heat.
Mm-hmm.
If the Miami Heat get him, they've spent a lot of money. Duncan Robinson is a restricted free agent at that point. Duncan Robinson's a dude that should have a green light whenever the ball's in his hand. Like, if he's open behind the arc, if he feels he's got the shot, green light, man, go for it. Miami probably wouldn't match if that's the case because of how high into the luxury tax threshold that would take them. That if that doesn't work and John Collins goes elsewhere this offseason, you've still got a ton of money to play with. Another guy I extremely like is another restricted free agent, Lauri Markkanen. Former top 10 pick of the Chicago Bulls. He's a dude that shoots 44% from three-point land. And offensively, he can get his shot off the dribble as well. He's got a bag. He can get to the rim. I think in a system that featured him, unlike Chicago was doing, he could be an all-star. Mm-hmm. And he, A, provides height, being over 7 foot, and B, he provides floor spacing by opening up the lane, which we saw was an insane issue this past season. Between Keldon, DeMar, and DeJounte and Lonnie all needing to get to the rack to really get their offense going, and Jakob Poeltl on the floor in his paint. Dude, that's just too much in the paint. People dared the Spurs to shoot threes, and when they were hot, they won. When they weren't hot, they lost. And that was kind of the antithesis of the late season Spurs. So to fix that, you have to provide floor spacing. I think Lauri Markkanen does that, and he comes in a lot cheaper than John Collins to allow you to get more floor spacing along with that. So if you paired Lauri Markkanen along with a guy with a player option of only $3 million this year that I think can make a lot more if he opts out, and you're seeing him perform extremely well in the playoffs, especially in wake of Giannis's injury when he had to go out, and now even with Giannis, Bobby Portis Jr. is playing extremely well for the Milwaukee Bucks. If you haven't been paying attention, Bobby Portis Jr. is a dude that spaces the floor. He's a bulldog on defense. He's a hustle dude. He gets rebounds, and he shoots 47% from three. More floor spacing, another dude that's just hard-nosed and does all the dirty work. And then you spend the last of that money on an unrestricted free agent, a guy that should have a green light who, if you miss out on the restricted Duncan Robinson sweepstakes, the next best dude to that is Doug McDermott. You go get he's 6'10", he spaces the floor, he shoots it over 40% from three, and he's another guy that opens up the lane that allows Keldon to get to the rack. It allows DeJounte to live in the paint. It allows Lonnie to be able to slash, because a lot of the guys that are on the Spurs roster are mid-range and slashers, get to the rim and make something happen. Well, now these guys can open up the lane, let these guys get to the rim. As people collapse, we can see them swing it out and then pass the ball around the perimeter. It's all surrounded now by shooters, so they're not afraid to make that extra pass like they did in 2014 when we saw the beautiful game from the Spurs, and they could just bomb away now.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny because if I've been asked a few times, what's my perfect offseason for the Spurs? And I say, you know, I look at the draft first. And what I look at is, say we get a Jalen Johnson drop or a Kai Jones drop. Then I look like, yeah, I mean, there's your big man right there. There's the serviceable big man you need, the hops and everything you need. If that happens, my next moves are both Larry, who you and I on Twitter have always said we're both Larry Markkinen fans.
I'm driving this bandwagon straight through, man.
For sure. And I go out and get a Larry, and I go out and get a Dougie as well.
Yeah.
Two big guys that can shoot, opens up the lane so much. You would see Lonnie at a whole new level.
Mm-hmm.
So,
you see DeJounte at a whole new level.
Exactly. So you got two big men who can spread the floor, and you got a young big man down low. That would be, to me, the perfect offseason for the Spurs. And you guess what? You're not going to spend a whole lot of money.
You're not going to use all of your 47 to 54 million that you would have. I see Michael DeLeon on Facebook says that he thinks Trey's going to be fine. He was a distributor at Duke. Other players scored nearly 10 assists a game with Austin. Yeah, I think he's going to be a serviceable backup point guard. He's going to be a lot like Jock Vaughn was, or Speedy Claxton, or, you know, name backup point guard for the Spurs championship teams. I don't think he's a bad player. I don't think he's there yet, but I think he could be that at some point in the future.
I mean, yeah, I don't really know much on Trey. I mean, I know the type of player he is. I saw how he was at Duke. But
good player.
You're right. Is he the Speedy Claxton? Is he, you know, no. I mean, we're talking honestly, I'm gonna throw a name out
looking to get a superstar.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at guys like in the past, like a Nigel Knight, you know, guys that just come in, just do a little bit of the dirty work, a little bit of the job. They're not gonna be, you know,
10 to 15
household names or anything like that.
It's like Patty was early in his career.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, Patty, we can't say he's going to be Patty either. Patty's come into games has made a huge difference. I don't think Trey's ever going to come in.
But early in his career, you got to remember, Patty was the guy waving the towel on the sideline that hyped up the rest of the team. Like, that's who Patty was before Patty became, you know, Patty.
Yeah. True that. Trey, you got anything to add to this, Trey?
Well, I mean, y'all keep talking about free agent. You're going to get this free. I mean, no free agency for some odd reason likes coming to San Antonio. Y'all don't get the team that fits. Like the past couple of years, the players that fit, they just don't come here. And I don't know why that is.
The difference is this year the Spurs have cap space, so they have money to spend. And
you're right.
Not all free agents say no. LaMarcus Aldridge chose us over LA.
But yeah, I understand that. But was LaMarcus Aldridge really the saving grace that everyone thought he was going to be? I thought it was a bad sign. I wasn't a big LaMarcus Aldridge.
I'm not saying he was a saving grace. You say free agents want to come here, but money dictates if they want to come here or not, and they have.
You're right. You're right. But my question is coming. I'm probably going to piss off Spurs Twitter. Actually, I might make Spurs Twitter happy. I think Greg Popovich is the problem. I think he needs to go. I think it's time for him to go say goodbye. He's getting a little grumpy. You see him at the American. He's not. I mean, honestly, I think Becky Hammond would do a better job than what Greg Popovich is doing. That's just my take. But Greg Popovich has served his time. It was going to be his 25th year or something like that. I think he's part of the problem. He's like 3-point shooting ain't there. He hasn't changed. Tim Duncan left, Tony Parker, and all that. I just think it's time for him to hang up the reins and give it to somebody else.
I think it's hard to say Tim Duncan Greg Popovich hasn't changed, because we saw him change from 4 down to what was the beautiful game we saw in 2014. He was doing the best he could do with the players he had on his roster. It's just the players he had on his roster all did the exact same thing. They were all mid-range, inside the paint, thriving guys. You add some floor spacers, and all of a sudden you allow your attackers like DeJounte Murray to be Tony Parker, allow him to get to the rack, kick it outside, work the ball around the perimeter, and all of a sudden you're taking more threes, making more threes because you have people that actually can shoot the three.
You're right. Yeah, I guess you're right, but it just doesn't seem like the same. I think it's just time. I just think that he's part of the. I think the Spurs need a new face. I think they just need something. I mean, that's what I think.
I agree. Like it feels like he's lost touch because of the style of game that he's playing and not shooting threes. But part of that is DeMar's never going to shoot a three. DeMar doesn't want to shoot a three.
You're right. Yeah, that's
DeJounte is not a great 3-point shooter yet. Lonnie's okay. Derek White's probably the best 3-point shooter in that starting unit, and he was gone for most of the year with an injury. 2 different injuries. So, I mean, they were hamstrung by not having shooters, and then when their shooter did get hurt, they didn't have a backup shooter. So their best 3-point shooters this year were Patty Mills and Rudy Gay, of all people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that says it all on the Spurs and the type of offense that they had to play just because that's the only players they had. I think if you, through free agency, revamp that, give him some shooters, and allow the players that are best at doing that one thing, now that one thing is not packed in and taken away because you have other people surrounding that player that will unclog the lane.
Perfect.
Yeah,
and
you're right.
I'm going to say this much: with all this money coming up for the Spurs, I think the reason why they're not in a bad situation. I mean, we're talking a team that is potentially. I mean, they were right there in the playoff hunt and all that stuff. To me, they're one player away, and that one player is right here. I will go ahead and suit up for the San Antonio Spurs this upcoming season. I will finally give Pop what he wants. I will give him the shooter and the superstar that he's been looking for since Tim Duncan. I can definitely make that happen.
And, like Timmy, you'll do it on a hometown discount, right?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Real quick, breaking news. Pelicans are set to hire Willie Green, the Phoenix Suns assistant coach.
I mean, good hire. It's a really good hire.
It is. I just thought I'd break the news. But
I
wonder if Spurs fans are upset when they watch Patty Mills play for the Australian team and see how good he is. And then it comes to San Antonio and he doesn't play that well.
The funny thing about that is we talked about that on the post-up tonight. I think there's a combination of factors in why Patty plays as well for his national team than he does the Spurs. One of those reasons is the fact that you're playing for your country. It means a lot. Like, that's a whole thing. I think that's part of the reason. The other part of that reason is the fact that you look at it and you see him doing things for the Australian national team that you don't see him do for San Antonio. And I say that by the way that they get him involved. You see him curling off of screens to take shots. You see him getting into the paint. You see him running down screens on the baseline and letting him come up and take elbow jumpers. Things that you didn't see sets like that run for Patty unless it was like end of game, need to get a game-winning bucket kind of play. Like, that's the only time we really saw a set like that run for Patty. They'll run those in game for Patty and allow him to get off. Patty's philosophy mainly was Patty near the top of the key walking into a three-pointer. Like, it was always felt like it was near the top of the key and it was always kind of walking into a three. So I feel like the Australian national team has built their offense to feature Patty Mills and let him be what we all know as FIBA Patty. The Spurs offensive system does not incorporate what the Australian national team allows for Patty to do set-wise, so that's why we don't get to see the exact same type of Patty as we do with the Spurs than when he plays for his national team.
True that. And the thing with Patty is I posted that picture on Twitter that, in San Antonio he's Clark Kent, but in Australia he plays like Superman. So I can totally see that. But another thing too, Patty, I mean, it's Patty in Australia. That's like, giving LeBron the ball and saying, here, just take the ball, do whatever the hell you want with it.
He's going to be the first ever Indigenous Australian to carry the Australian flag for the national team. That's a big thing.
That is.
Yeah. And see, I thought I was special that I got to carry the banner at my high school parade one time. So that's nothing compared to Patty, but you know, I felt kind of special. But man, the great inside pledge. I'm glad I invited you on tonight.
I'm happy to be on.
I gotta ask this: will you be willing to come back again at another time?
Of course.
All right, y'all heard it first. I'm gonna have to go donate more blood now, and I have a lot until I get really.
Here's the thing: plasma gets you more money.
There's something else that gets you more money, but I don't want to go that route anytime soon. Yeah, I don't want to be the father of somebody I don't know about, but we might shoot for the plasma next time. So hey, again, thanks for Pledge. If you want to follow Pledge, it's I Am Pledger. It's at I Am Pledger on Twitter. You can always, like I say, you can always friend request him on Facebook. Whether he accepts you as a friend is totally up to him. You can also find Pledge every Saturday morning, the Saturday Morning Hangover on ESPN SA. You know, what else? You're also with Robin Jason throughout the week as well. Yep. On the Blitz. You're pretty much everywhere on ESPN SA. You're living the dream. I have been able to live the dream with Carolina Teague for the past year on the Sports Time. Hopefully, my dream is as long as yours in radio, so we will see how that plays out. But
it's a fun dream. I like to tell people we work in the toy department, man.
Oh yeah,
it's a lot of hard work, but we get to live in the toy department.
I know. Exactly. I know. The sad thing is you get paid for it, and I don't. That's the shitty part. But hey, I appreciate.
Hey, congratulations on your new thing with Project.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. It's been a long time coming. It's been in the works for a while, but from what I understand, it's going to be really, really big, and I'm very, very excited for it. I hope to continue to do work with you as part of that as well. So, we'll definitely. But again, I appreciate you coming on, James. I know you're a busy man. You got to hit the weight room.
I'll always make time.
Yeah, we'll always get you on again. Maybe next time we'll be able to get you and Jeff on at the same time. Maybe y'all can box or something. That'll be pretty cool. We'll get something like that going.
Oh, he's going to fake a Conor McGregor lifestyle.
So for James Pledger from ESPN SA, Rudy Campos Jr., Trey College, Gio taking the dip early. He says he has to work. Chances are he had to take a shit, but we're just going to go with the work part on that. Austin Hartsfield will join us next week. Hey, for everybody out there, we swept the league. We swept every single league tonight. We also went to the Ring of Fire for the first time with James Pledger. So until next week, until we sweep the leagues again, we will be back. We will see you guys later.